This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so today is Thursday, June 13th, and as always, everything that we'll be talking about this morning is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so the pre-market's kind of looking a lot like what we saw yesterday. We got some stuff out there with some volume, but we're just not really seeing too much of a show of hand yet. But, there we got some good things to look at that definitely are showing some variables to give us some good trades once we get closer towards that open. So the first thing I'm going to be looking at is RRGB. Now, Red Robin, I had no idea that was even public, but as we can see, it is on average trades about $1.22. But if we look at it this morning, we can see that it certainly should have a way bigger range than that based off of the variables we have going on during the pre-market. Now, my one thing with this is that once again, just as we've been pushing up, I know the orders are very thin and the spread is very wide, but as we've been kind of pushing up, I'm just not really seeing much buying coming into it. You can see right here, 31, a little bit followed immediately by a bid print and then a below the bid print. So that really tells us almost nothing. And then, 3250, we had another print coming there on the bid side. So overall, we're going to need to see a little bit of a little bit more of something. I mean, there's just nothing really for us to go on yet. So we need to see some type of bigger prints come back out here before we really make a decision on where it's going to go. Now, based off just volume alone, you could see the push that came into this morning was absolutely pretty much nothing. So wouldn't be surprised to see some selling start to come into this thing and push it kind of back around, almost right back to where it came from. But that's complete speculation based off volume. We need to actually have some prints within there in order to make that decision. Next thing I'm going to look at is PRVB, and normally I wouldn't, but so this is another one where I'm not really happy about what it started to push on. Okay, we can see the first bar that really, first big bar that came in was on really nothing, and you can see it's starting to come back. But if we go all the way back towards when it came up towards that top, we did have one print, and that's not enough to go on. And it's another situation where on this push, just didn't really see the buying I would have liked to see. Now we go back to yesterday and then earlier into this morning, it's it just not really showing us much. But 1257, someone definitely likes it right there. Whether that that more than likely based off of what we're seeing at that 1257, because it's holding this print line 44,000 shares. More than likely that's buying and not covering, just because I did not see any real sell positions come in from the top here. So definitely looks like some buying. Then we can see 1275. We have some pretty decent buying as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'm not ecstatic about it. And it really doesn't have any great controlling prints, but it does have some real nice buying around that print line that we'll be watching. And then SRVA. Excuse me. SRUA. SVRA. Dyslexia. So the only reason that I really like this is because you can short it too. And I don't even want to say that I really like it, but coming into this, you can see, at that 250 level, we definitely got some covering that came back in off of, the big hit that this thing took. Closed at 1057. Now we're down all the way to about 250. So overall, I do want to see, now we might get, a dead cat jump, dead cat bounce, excuse me, come in based off of just, the amount of covering we're seeing coming in at that 250 level. You can see, some pretty heavy selling around that 275 to bring it back down. But, we also got to understand the range is not going to be anything crazy. So I haven't seen anything that's spectacular yet. But considering it's taken that big of a hit, and we could trade it to both sides, it's something that I'm going to be looking at. If there wasn't such a lack of things out there, this would be a side list 100%. Can I do Disney? Sure. Now, I haven't been watching Disney, so we'll see if there's anything going on this morning. And there is not. So this morning, if you look at the actual prints during the AM, you have basically nothing. You have a little bit of selling that came in at that 138 level. I know I said this the other day, though. If you remember when it was pushing back down, I was looking at it for a short period of time, and it was pushing back down on really nothing. And if you look at the pattern that over here on that daily chart, I'm not surprised at all that this thing jumped back up, because you have a beautiful staircase that was coming back in, staircase, stock moving down on not really much, and then all of a sudden a push back towards that upside. We're looking for a good pullback today and pulling up. Well, remember, yesterday was 161. So if we come over to BABA, we can see. If it lets me get out of here. Okay, here we go. All right, so when BABA was coming back down yesterday, remember what it needed to pull back from was that 161 level. It never did that. Now we're all the way back up here at 162. Now, has it had enough time to actually build a position up there? I would say no, to be completely honest with you, but if we come back over here, you can see a little bit earlier this morning, 161.50, 161 had a little bit of ask, but then as we came right back down to 161, looks like someone's building that position back up again. So I would expect another decent pull up from these prints at 161 before we end up coming back underneath it. Tesla, we know Tesla's all the way at 210 right now. 215 is that number that we're going to be looking at because of the fact that it just never pulled back from the amount of selling that we saw coming into there. So another thing that I will be looking at pretty closely today. And BYND. So BYND is coming back down with all the buying that it had yesterday. So we're really looking like we're going to go into a consolidation period, because both it's either been, the day before was just huge selling, then yesterday was huge buying, and now we're pulling back down on huge buying. Just nothing that's going on this morning, though, that I really care too much about. You could see, once the morning started, the prints are just way too sporadic. There's just not really a burst of anything yet. And on a stock that moves like this, and if I don't see a burst, I'm not even going to think about trying to pick its direction, because it will move. I mean, look, yesterday, another $19 move that it made. So we really, really need to make sure that we have a show of hand within BYND before we're going to be looking for anything. Now, remember, it doesn't really have to come down. That 125 from yesterday just didn't really have any type of real adamant selling that came back into it. And based off all the selling the previous day, pushing back up made a lot of sense. But yesterday was pretty much mostly buying, almost the entire day. So we're going to have to kind of, play it by feel and see what we get once the morning comes back in. All right, guys, anything else out there that I missed? Anything else that we got going on? I think that's going to be about it. Now, it has been, kind of, pretty slow morning. Let's see, is Lulu doing anything? Oh, yeah. Lulu's looking pretty decent this morning. Let's see, we're making a push up. We got 180, not really a great show of hand. 179 is not terrible, and 178 wasn't terrible based off of how thin the orders are. But we need a little bit more buying up here to show us that we're going to be able to continue back up and make a push towards that double top. So let's just make sure that we get, not a bad burst of buying that came in right over here, but we're definitely going to need to see a little bit more. So Lulu is certainly going to be on our list as well. That's one of the things about scanning is if you keep it, especially in your rapid risers and rapid falling stocks, if you have a trade station, when you see something just continuously pop up, like I just kept seeing Lulu pop up, usually it's pretty decent. So just a little trick for you if you're looking to scan that way, especially when things are, are slow out there. All right, guys, so let's get ready for the morning. I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.